Dave, you need a hug, brother. Like, I got one for you next time I see you. I got some love. You've got some good stuff here, bro. You've got things that can help people, but I don't know why you're so angry. Okay, so I did a video about these 5 steps to financial freedom, and then Chief of Staff Stolva, if you watch Ask the Money Nerds, is like, oh, well, let me send you a video that someone else did called 5 Things That Will Make You Wealthy. Let's see how they line up.
Now, the stuff we teach here, and have for almost 30 years, is proven. It's no longer an opinion. It's not a theory. I don't agree with Dave Ramsey's advice, which would make you wrong.
Whoa. Okay. Wow. I kind of feel like Dave Ramsey is playing a scientist on TV, but he's not a real scientist. So he's like, hey, it's science. We've proven this. And if you don't agree, you're an idiot. That whole, you're wrong, this is proven. Okay, maybe it's proven to get out of debt, but there may be like 10 ways for me to get to New York right now, and walking might be one of the ways I can get there, and I might prove that I could walk there, but it just might be a lot easier to fly or to ride a bike or to take a car or anything else. And so yes, I'm sure some of what he does is proven to be the slower way to get there.
But subject to your income to tragedy ratio, to the extent you do these 5 things, you will win with money. You will become wealthy in North America if you will do these 5 things over and over again. Number 1, you need to have a written plan, a budget.
Okay. So I recently watched a video from Dave Ramsey where he said people don't fund their whole life policies, and so it never works out. Well, guess what? The stats are in. People don't stick to a budget. So principle number 1 is the budget principle, and apparently biblical, and yet people don't stick to it. So let's go.
Jesus said, don't build a tower without first counting the cost, lest you get halfway up and you're unable to finish, and all who see you begin to mock you and say, this man began to build. No one began to build and was unable to finish. No.
Okay, so he's talking about a Jesus quote here that, is about a budget for a project, is what it sounds like to me, more than budgeting for your life. Like, my issue with budgeting is I believe in mindful cash management. I believe in being aware where your money's going. I believe in paying yourself first and automatically saving and then not spending more than what's left over. But to budget, which means to restrain, to reduce, to restrict, limits value creation and is exhausting. It's a very limited, finite game.
Second thing is you got to get out of debt. Your most powerful wealth building tool is your income. And when you spend your whole freaking life giving your money to banks who fill up the skyline and have furniture nicer than yours, that makes you stupid.
I would use the word stupid, but he makes a good point that banks are the biggest buildings everywhere. Like, I went in the other day and they're like, hey, do you want a lollipop, sucker? Now, I don't know if they're calling me a sucker or what it was, but I get it. Like, we're giving all this interest to them, and on one side they're saying, hey, we'll give you 1% and we're going to charge 4% for the same money. They're giving $1 and turning around and selling it for $4. I get that. But let's get clear about what debt is. So when you look at a balance sheet, if you just draw a box and then you have this vertical line in between, on the left side is my left side, your left side is assets, on the other side is liabilities. So when you have more assets and liabilities, that's called equity. When there's more liabilities than assets, that's called debt. So definitely stay out of debt. Don't go into debt. But there's times where you might use other people's money in order to acquire assets. It happens for people that acquire businesses. It happens all the time for that. It happens for some people that do real estate. The problem is when people do this without knowledge, when people don't know how to be productive with that, when they get over leveraged, then they get destroyed. And he had that happen when he lost in real estate in his life. So I understand where he's coming from there. And yes, I agree. Like, let's get rid of inefficient loans. Let's get rid of loans that keep us up at night. Let's not borrow to consume in the first place. So, I mean, I might start there as let's not go borrow to consume. Now he's saying get out of debt, but okay, tomato, tomato, we'll say.
Get out of debt. When you don't have any payments, you know what you've got? Money. Do I care if you get out of debt? Yes, I want you to win. I want you to have a great life. But do I care if you agree with me? No.
Okay, so getting out of debt, good, but what if you do that at the expense of investing in yourself? What if you focus on that alone, but if you really were going to not get in debt, get out of debt, don't get in debt in the first place. Okay, if you're already there, now what do you do about it? I want you to really focus on value creation, on serving others, on solving problems, on expanding your income, not just reducing your expenses. It's going to be a balance between the two.
I don't care if you agree with me. If you don't agree with me about this money stuff, you're what's known as wrong.
Oh my God,
I've been doing this longer.
He's so condescending. He keeps saying, I've been doing this longer. You're wrong. You're stupid. Like, why are we watching someone that keeps telling us, you're wrong, you're stupid, I've been doing this longer, I know better than you? He kind of sounds like a tyrant. Like a tyrant goes, I know better for your life than you do, so you go ahead and listen to me and I'll tell you how you should live. Well, if you value freedom, if you value expression, if you value any of that, this seems to go a little bit against that. Now, I think maybe some people are a train wreck. They're spending way too much money, so they've got to be, maybe this is the loving father having the really difficult conversation, but I think wrong and stupid are just words that I might choose differently.
Longer than most of my critics. They were peeing in their diaper while I was doing this stuff. They're wrong. Live on less than you make.
Yep, live on less than you make. Good. But here's 3 things. 1, you can live on less than you make by reducing. But 2, you do it by being more efficient. Save on tax, save on interest, which Dave and I would agree on, save on interest. Save on investment fees and underperforming assets and cash those out and pay off loans, or protect the downside. Or 4, find out where you have duplicate costs or coverages with insurance. And then the third way of living within your means is expand your means. This is the key conversation. Add more value, serve more people, deliver value. That's the key.
3. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all that he has. If you spend everything you make, you're a fool. Well, Dave, you don't know about my situation.
Yeah, so that's good advice. I like it. Pay yourself first. Take a percentage off the top. Good advice,
In America
Dave.
today, wages are stagnant. So why are they stagnant at your house? You know where wages are stagnant? On people who are stagnant. You're only got stagnant wages if you decide to stay there and keep getting those wages. This is not Russia. You can quit. I don't like how much Walmart pays. I don't like how much McDonald's pays. So don't work there, stupid.
God, man, it's really hard. I personally love people. I personally think people are valuable. I think being called stupid over and over triggers this unworthiness, triggers this, I don't know, I think we could come from a better place here. And, okay, so I know, maybe not working at McDonald's, that's not the best thing, and so I'll agree to this. Invest in ourselves. Figure out your skill sets. Value yourself. Invest in there before you invest in some mutual fund or anything else that he's probably going to recommend as point number 5, which I don't know where the hell that's in the Bible, but ultimately, what can you do to add more valuable? Because you're valuable, because you're worth it, not because you're stupid. Okay, maybe you don't know everything there is to know about money. Okay, that's part of the thing. I don't know everything there is to know about health. Does that make me stupid? I'm trying to learn. I'm doing my best, but I don't need some doctor coming and saying, you're an idiot. You're not sleeping 9 hours a night. You're stupid. I know what's best for you. Yeah, that's inspiring. Thank you. I think that we just need as humanity to call each other stupid more often so that we can sound condescending as hell. Dave, you need a hug, brother. I got one for you next time I see you. I got some love. You've got some good stuff here, bro. You've got things that can help people, but I don't know why you're so angry. Just come at it with a little bit of love. A little bit of love, just a little bit.
Go to work for somebody else. I don't like how my company treats me, so leave. Go be somebody. There's no reason that you have to be stuck somewhere because some liberal journalist said you were stuck. You're not stuck. You're stagnant. Don't be stagnant. You know what stagnant pond water does? It grows scum on top. You don't want to be stagnant. You get scummy. You need to go be somebody. You need to leave the cave, kill something, and drag it home. You need to decide that my life is not good enough the way it is, and so I am going to control the controllables. I am going to change some things. Because guess what? Nobody in Washington's going to fix your life. Santa Claus doesn't live there, baby.
Yeah, it was pretty good. A little angry, but good advice for the most part right here.
Have you noticed that the Democrats and the Republicans, neither one could freaking add? Have you
He makes a really good point there.
ever had any of them send you money? No. They are not going to fix your freaking life. You are going to fix your life. You're going to get on a plan. You're going to get out of debt. You're going to live on.
Yep, personal responsibility is the gateway to prosperity. But value creation is going to be the king, not just budgeting, okay? What you can do to serve others, what you do to have self-care, to expose your skills, to bring out value to the world. This is going to be the key. And he's saying some of this right here, so I like what he's saying here. Angry, I've been there. Maybe it's passionate. I get seen as angry at times. Maybe it's just passion right now. But he hasn't used the word stupid for a minute, so I'm feeling really good.
Less than you make. And then you're going to save some money. You know how rich people get rich? They save money. What?
Well, rich people don't get rich just because they save money. I want to be really clear about this. Like, no one shrinks their way to wealth. That's not how it works. They get wealthy because if they do something that's valuable in the world that someone else wants to exchange that money for, they get wealthy. Sure, you could live like the millionaire next door. You could live like what Dave might say here, which is you budget your way broke. Just read an article where someone died with $2.7 million and no one in their life. They didn't have a bed because they could just save that money. The only person they talked to was their broker. Okay, that's true. You can become a miserable millionaire. Ebenezer Scrooge was doing that before he had his epiphany, right? So if you think the first half of the Christmas Carol was the right show, I think keep listening to what we're seeing here. And where I paused, you're going to see, like, he seems angry.
My assumption is you're going to be broke until you save money. That's my assumption. You need to get up off your assumption and go do something. You need to get up off your assumption and start investing some money. 100% of the people that don't save money don't have any. Wow, how's that for insight?
Well, that's completely wrong. There's people that don't save money that have plenty of money. It's called they have assets. And I don't think buying assets or owning a business that you might sell is the same as saving money. I think it's important to save money. To pay 15% right off the top every time you have personal income, that's savings. But there's people with money. They call it, maybe they marry into it, maybe they inherit it, maybe they luck out and win the lottery. It usually just doesn't stick around very much if we abuse it. But the bottom line is savings doesn't equal wealth. Savings equals stewardship. What we do with the savings can create wealth. It comes back to who are you, what value you can create in the world, what problems are you uniquely gifted to solve. And this is a expansion game of production, not a reduction game of budgeting.
Doesn't take a freaking rocket scientist to figure this out. You know what the problem on your investments are? The problem with your investments is not your rate of return. It's not your expense ratio. It's not no load versus load. It's not your nerdy, twisted up, toxic butt opinion about some investment. Your problem with your investments is you don't have any. That's the problem with your investments. 100% of the people that build wealth save money on purpose a lot. Some people do it poorly in a stupid money market account and make no money on their money. Others do it wisely in mutual funds that outperform the S.
Wisely by putting it in mutual funds. I kind of feel like we're in a parody. Like, did you just say that? Like, they wisely save it into mutual funds. That's not savings, Dave. That's investing. Let's stop collapsing those terms. Savings are money markets. Having money sitting in money markets, why in the end of 2019, did the wealthiest families in America have 39% of their money in money market or equivalent? Because they're waiting to capitalize on opportunity. They're not just sitting there waiting for the slaughter when the economy starts to be volatile and just sitting there with money in mutual funds where they don't know the companies or understand shareholder value or understand the expense ratios that you're talking about or dealing with the volatility. There's plenty of people who have the money there and they're petrified to what's going to happen with the money. Because now we have to talk about how do you protect it? How do you manage the downside? How do you make sure that it cash flows? How can you create economic independence? Even if you save a boatload of it, how do you have it actually start performing for you in your retirement years? There's people with millions of dollars living like paupers because interest rates aren't doing what they wanted it to. So the fact that all this other advice is okay gets horrifically bad when it immediately jumps to a mutual fund. He didn't make his money in mutual funds. Maybe selling them, I don't know. Maybe advertisers with it. Dave is an entrepreneur who's brilliant at bringing out this advice to the masses. He is. He's got a big business. It's grown massively. He writes books. He's articulate. He's angry. I didn't always see him that way. When I saw him once when he was on a screen at church for whatever, and I was like, oh, this is a really good marketer, and I took notes. Didn't love all the advice, but I thought the basics were basic. They weren't necessarily principles. But there's a lot of
S&P
issues.
or real estate that they pay cash for that outperforms the S&P. Others are just passive and do the S&P, and they all write books about it. And all.
S&P. I have no money in the S&P, and I would put my investments against anyone in the S&P since I stopped putting money in the stock market. Private businesses I have influence over that actually add value to the world, like Wealth Factory, and through intellectual property, which is similar to what Dave is doing. I'll be candid, he does it better than I do as far as his reach, but he says he's been doing this forever, and so maybe it's just a matter of time.
I'll have a freaking opinion and make money off of you while you're stagnant. That's stupid. Don't be stagnant.
Stupid. I love
Invest money, save money. You know how you're going to do that? You're going to be on a plan. You're going to get out of debt. You're going to live on less than you make, and voila, there is money in the budget. It's called margin, baby. And now you got the money to be rich. You got to act like rich people, and that's not go spend a bunch of money, moron, because rich people don't go spend a bunch of money. I'm going to go buy a Ferrari. I'm acting like rich people. No, you're acting like a moron. That's not, Ferraris aren't rich people. That's the ultra rich. You don't buy a Ferrari if you're a millionaire. That's
yeah, pretty good point there. I was stupid enough to buy a Bentley at one time because my partner's like, oh, we need to attract high-end clients. Well, if we were going for teenage clients, I think it was a super impressive vehicle. My hometown, they just thought it was a weird-looking Chrysler 300, and it didn't bring us any really wealthy clients. So, okay, I should have listened to Dave back then.
That's crazy, you people. I'm going to act rich. I'm going to rip people off. That's just a liberal nonsense. Rich people don't rip people off. They didn't get rich by ripping people off.
They got rich by creating value. So, yeah, he's right there. It's not about deception and coercion, but they didn't get rich by funding mutual funds either. Like, how many people are rich because they funded mutual funds? The mutual fund companies have done well. 91% of people worth $5 million or more own a business and did really well, yet he's telling you S&P.
That's just stupid. Don't be stupid. It makes you look bad. Don't do that. And if you'll get out of debt and you'll invest and you live on less than you make and you have a plan, then you can do the last one. It's the most fun you'll ever have with money. You can be outrageously generous, randomly generous, lavish.
He's talking about being generous. He was generous with the word stupid and wrong. So you were outlandishly and lavishly generous with those terms there, Dave. So here's my synopsis. There's some basics in here that are pretty good, but you shouldn't feel like terrible if you got yourself in a financial situation that isn't great. You shouldn't feel like you're not worthy. You shouldn't feel like you're stupid, like money didn't come with the manual. Really what you got to figure out is how to invest in yourself, how to automatically save and deliberately invest. But don't invest until you've really paid off the things that are haunting you or destroying your wealth, and then look to expand your means by adding more value, by discovering your sole purpose. What are your abilities? What are your values? What are your passions? What's the biggest vision for your life? The win isn't in having a certain amount of money in an account. It's having a vision that's so compelling that it actually delivers value to the world, because most of the problems in the world can be solved by the people that are already here, but unfortunately, they're too confused about money. They're too busy scrimping, sacrificing, saving, delaying, and feeling wrong or stupid because someone yelled at them. You're better than that. I know you have plenty to offer the world. Let's figure out this money game together without telling you you're dumb.